Well guys, I want to go ahead and start out today's video by looking at a little something ridiculous, okay? We're talking about college today. We're talking about should you go to college, should you drop out of college. More student loan borrowers carry six-figure balances. Alicia Bookman's student loan balance is nearly $500,000. The share of borrowers with balances in the six figures is on the rise. Around 178,000 students graduated owing more than $100,000 in 2015-2016 academic year, up from 51,000 in 2003 to 2004. And I think that is a good place to start today's video, okay? I know a lot of folks are wondering, should you go to college? Should you drop out of college? I know that's for my younger viewers, a lot of you guys that are in high school right now, which there are not very many of you guys that watch the channel that are in high school. By the way, make sure you leave a comment if you are in high school and you watch this channel, that's really cool. But even some of my folks that are in college wonder, should I drop out of college? Am I doing the right thing by staying in college? And things like that. And then some of my older viewers, some of you guys that are maybe in your late 30s or early 40s, and you have kids that are either in middle school right now or approaching high school, some of you guys wonder, should I try to push my kid toward college? Should I not? How should I approach it and whatnot? And I just want to give you my personal opinion on this. I'm someone that did go to college for about 2.5 years, and I went to city college, as it's called, or community college, however you want to call it. And basically how I was able to afford that is, one, community college is much cheaper than going to a university. So that's first and foremost. It's like 20% of the cost of going to a university is like a community college, at least in Arizona. I can't tell you if it's like that in every state, but in Arizona, it's like literally like 20% of going to a university. So I was able to pay it out of pocket, but on top of that, I also had like a half scholarship from the track team, because I was on the track team in college as well. So I had a half scholarship there. So I was able to pay out of pocket. And then also there was a government plan at that time that basically gave you back like up to, it was either $2,500 or $4,000 per year, basically at the end of the tax year. So technically I went to college for free for my 2.5 years, and then I dropped out. So I didn't go after a bachelor's degree or master's degree. It was just time for me to kind of like move on to the next thing. I kind of had vision. I felt like I learned what I needed to learn in college, and it was time to move on, okay? So I just want to tell you that as my personal experience in college, okay? So let's think about this for a minute. There are kind of like 4 ways on how your college can get paid for you. It's going to be one of these 4 ways, because we know college is very expensive, right? College is very expensive, especially if you're talking about going to a university and you're talking about going to a university for all the years. It's very, very expensive. So that's getting paid one of 4 ways. The first way, it could be scholarship, and that means like you're a really high-ranking student or something like that, and you basically get a scholarship so you can go to college for free, okay? That's a very select few that are that smart that they can get a scholarship to pay for their school. Or you're a super athlete and you're a great football player or basketball player and you get college paid for you. That's not the situation for most people. It also is possible that maybe there's some sort of government program so you can get financial aid, so actually your college can get paid for by the government, but also that's a very select few as well, kind of get that type of financial aid, okay? So for most folks, you know, scholarship, you know, or financial aid that's going to pay for your full college or something like that, for most part, like it's kind of unrealistic, okay? So number one, not most people are going to have that. Number 2, your parents pay for your full college. That's another select few people out there. Like the amount of people that their parents can pay for their college, you know, whether college costs, you know, $40,000 or $80,000 or $150,000, depending on what school you go to. The amount of parents that can afford to do that, very slim. I mean, if you just look at like how many of the baby boomers are near broke, like it's pretty much like half the baby boomer population is like broke. And when you think about something like that, you think, how the hell could like a baby boomer like have paid for their kids to go to school? It's just unrealistic, okay? So most parents, like 95% plus of parents, are not going to be able to pay for their kids' college, okay? Maybe the top 5% or 10% of income earners or wealth earners would actually pay for their kids' school or something like that. So that's a very unrealistic possibility as well. So these 2 are not very realistic, okay? These 2 are what happens most of the time, okay? One is you pay out of pocket, out of your money. Maybe you have a job, and by having that job, you make enough money to go ahead and basically pay for that school, which I was able to do in community college, okay? okay? So if you're talking about going to university and paying for that, you're gonna need probably a pretty good job to go ahead and pull that off. That's gonna be difficult to pay for university out of pocket. Not impossible, but definitely very, very difficult. Community college, a lot easier because it is so much cheaper, okay? So that's a possibility of pay out of pocket. And then the last one, like we just looked at, is taking out debt to go ahead and try to get this education that hopefully is going to propel you in life and hopefully going to make you way more money than what the debt costs, and basically if you didn't have that degree, okay? So let's think about each of these individually. Let's break these down. Let's talk about, should you go to college based upon one of these four situations. If you have scholarship and you feel like going to college, I say go to college. You're getting your time paid for, okay? The school's getting paid for. A lot of times scholarships even cover some things like room and board, things like that. And if that's your personal situation and you want to go to college, like I say, go to college, man. You got a free 4 years of college where you can learn and do things like that and have fun or whatever it is you want to do. It makes sense to go ahead and do it if you're in that situation, okay? Number two, if your parents are going to pay for it and you want to go to college, once again, I highly suggest you go ahead and do that. If you have a clear vision, you're like, I want to go after and get this degree, and I really want to go to college, it's something I want to do in my life, and your parents are willing to pay for that, and they're all for it, and they got the money to pay for that, go ahead and do that, man. That makes perfect sense. Like, you want to go ahead and do it, and it's getting paid for? These two, absolutely, without question, go ahead and do it. Now, on the flip side, if you know you don't want to go to college, and you feel like there's something bigger you need to pursue, that college will distract you, okay? That if you feel like college is going to distract you and there's something bigger you need to go after right now, even if your parents are going to pay for it, and even if you have a scholarship, honestly, you probably need to put college to the side and say, I need to just go after this and forget college. Because if you go to college or you continue to go to college and there's something, a bigger opportunity you felt like you could have gone after, like think about all the super influential, business people in the tech industry, the Zuckerbergs and the Bill Gates and the Steve Jobs and all those folks who ended up dropping out because they had something going and they were like, I need to go after this fully. And we go across a ton of people that are not nearly as popular as those guys, but they went ahead and made the decision. They're like, I have to go after this now. Let me go ahead and drop out of college and pursue this idea or dream. I mean, imagine if Zuckerberg didn't drop out and he's like, you know what, we'll put Facebook to the side for now and we'll do it someday. I got to finish college right now. Like, that probably wouldn't have been that smart, right? Imagine if no Apple Corporation or Facebook or Microsoft, like imagine if there were not these sorts of companies, like their lives wouldn't have changed. Change in industries would have been way slower. So sometimes if you know there's something you got to go after, like you just got to go after it, even if you're in one of those two situations. Paying out of pocket, this is where it starts to get tricky. If you're really focused on college and you feel like it is definitely worth your time to get that degree or just take those courses in general, you're like, I really need this course over here, I really need to learn about this over there, and you can pay for it out of pocket, I say go ahead and go to college, okay? Now, once again, if you're really unfocused and you're like, I don't know if I want to go to college or I really don't want to go to college, you can probably just invest that money or go ahead and just save that money for now at a particular time rather than pay out of pocket all your money, which is generally going to be all your savings you're going to have to pay toward college for something that you're not even sure you want to go to or you don't want to go to, okay? So paying out of pocket only makes sense if you're for sure want to go. And then debt, I honestly think if you have to take out debt to go to college, I say don't do it. I say don't do it. I don't care how bad you want to go to college and how bad you want to get the college experience and things like that. If you have to take out debt to go to college, I say don't do it. The return on investment for 98% of people is not going to be there, okay? College is generally going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars, or in some folks' situation, hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. And that debt needs to be paid back a lot in a very quick amount of time. That debt collects interest, okay? So basically what you have happen, let's say you take out debt, and let's say you graduate college and you're 26 years old, okay? You went and maybe got a master's or something like that, which a master's usually takes most folks 6 or 7 years to get. So you're 26, maybe 27 years old, you got your master's degree, you probably got at least 6 figures in debt, $100 to maybe $150,000 in debt. And then you get out of college and you get a job making, let's say you make like $70K a year, which is a good, starting salary coming out of college. Most folks right when they come out of college don't get 6-figure jobs. It's just facts. Even if you have a master's degree, more than likely you're not getting a 6-figure job right when you get out of college because there's a limit to the amount of 6-figure plus jobs and you have a lot of people you're competing with for those 6-figure plus jobs. So let's say you get out of college and you do get a good job, and a good job is $70K per year. Like, that's not doing bad, okay? So you get this job, you're making $70K per year, okay? Now, first and foremost, if you're making 70K, okay, you got to think about taxes first, and then we're thinking about what's left over at the end of the pie. So if you got a job making 70K, depending on where you live, you're probably going to pay in about $20,000 to $25,000 in taxes, okay? That could be federal taxes or state taxes. Some states have taxes as well. Here in Nevada, thankfully enough, we do not have a state tax, but depending on where you, let's say, just say it's $20,000, okay? And that's a low number in my personal opinion. So that's gonna leave you with $50,000 at the end of the pie, okay? Now, you also have your rent, you have insurance, you have a car, you have all those sorts of things, right? And you probably wanna get a place of your own because you've been living with people for probably so long because you were probably sharing a house with a bunch of people while you were in college or you were in a dorm room or something like that. You probably want a place of your own. So needless to say, I would say your expenses to just live a decent lifestyle, most places is probably gonna be, let's say $35,000, okay? And this is not including like if you have kids or anything like that, okay? So $35,000. So this leaves you with $15,000 at the end of the pie, okay? $15,000 after your expenses, living a decent lifestyle, no kids, paying, you know, relatively low taxes compared to some parts of the country. So you have $15,000, okay? Where do you think most of that extra $15,000 is going to go, okay? It's going to go right out toward paying this debt right here because you need to pay that debt balance down. And so if you got $150,000 in debt, you're going to be working for probably a decade just to maybe, hopefully, pay that debt off. You're going to be working for a long time. You're going to probably be into your mid to late 30s before you've even paid down that debt. So let's say you're 38 years old, okay? You're 38 and finally you have paid off your debt, okay? Great, now you can start investing. Oh my gosh, you could actually start buying stocks. You can actually start buying index funds. You can actually buy a real estate property or something like that at 38 years old. And I'm not saying 38 years old is old by any means, but I can tell you it is a lot more fun to be investing in your 20s, getting all that experience, funneling as much money away as possible toward going ahead and investing, okay? And that is where the real money is made. Because even if you don't make 70K per year, let's say you make 50K per year because you didn't get your college degree, which by the way, I've seen people that have not gone to college and are making ridiculous amounts of money, okay? I've seen the people that have dropped out of college and are making ridiculous amounts of money. I've seen people that have gone to college and are working as an assistant manager at the local McDonald's, okay? And on the flip side, I've seen people that didn't go to college and are broke, and I've seen people that have gone to college and are doing very well for themselves. So this whole thing about you have to go to college to like make a lot of money or something, it's just completely not true. Let me just put that out there, okay? So if I'm looking at this, I'm saying you have to be completely out of your mind to go ahead and take out mass amounts of debt so you can hopefully maybe get a good job. This is absolutely insane, guys. And I mean, some people are in their 40s. Some people are in their 40s still paying student loan debt. And if you look at my generation, the millennial generation, I can promise you a lot of these folks are going to be in their 40s or maybe even 50s still paying off that debt, guys. And that's just absolutely ridiculous, okay? So if you're going to college and you're going to go on debt, it's probably not worth it. You're probably buying into the biggest bank scam of all time, which is you need to go to college to get a good job. And then people realize that's not true and nothing's guaranteed. And oh my gosh, you just took out $100,000 in loans that you have to pay interest on. And that basically takes you out of investing in your 20s and 30s. And that's just absolutely ridiculous, guys. So for most folks out there, going to college is honestly not the way to go. Unlike conventional wisdom will tell you that everybody needs to go to college, I'm going to tell you most folks should not go to college. But if you're a select few and you know exactly what you're going for and you know exactly what you're going to do and you're going to be a doctor or something like that where you have to go to college, you have no choice, okay, that probably makes sense. Especially if you're going to be able to pay it out of pocket or your parents are going to pay your own scholarship or something like that. It makes sense in those situations. But I can tell you, if you're going after some BS degree, and I'm not even talking about the crazy degrees, so the theoretical dance or whatever that people always like to make fun of, okay? There's all those degrees, you know, history, or all those sorts of degrees that people love to make fun of, you know, oh, you took out all that debt and you got that ridiculous degree. So even talk about a degree people think that's smart, a marketing degree. I'm gonna tell you 98, 99% of people that graduate with a marketing degree, a bachelor's in marketing, they don't know the first thing about marketing in 2019 or 2020 because everything they're being taught is marketing in the past. And the whole marketing game has changed since social media came in. And the way you market in today's landscape is massively different than the way you would have marketed 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and especially 40, 50 years ago, which I've taken marketing classes in college before, and I can tell you like almost all of the information was massively outdated. And I went to college like 2008 through like 2010, okay? So that was a long time ago. And even back then, it was massively outdated. I can only imagine now. So for most folks, it's just not worth it, guys, especially if you're taking out debt. That's just ridiculous, guys. Thank you for watching and have a great day.